Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today, I am doing another anti-haul. There's been so many new drugstore releases, so many new high-end releases that I just want to share with you guys things that I'm not going to be picking up, not because I necessarily think they're bad products, but just because I don't need them in my collection. So if you want to see what these products are, then just keep watching. Okay, so the first thing that I'm not going to pick up is from ColourPop, and it is their Fortune palette. So recently they released the Fame palette, which is more cool toned, and then they have a Fortune palette, which is more warm toned. The only reason I will not be picking up the Fortune palette is because I already have a ColourPop palette. I'm trying to find it here. That is kind of similar to that. It is the Give It To Me Straight palette. So I already have this palette. So as you guys will see, between this palette and the picture of the Fortune palette, they're very kind of similar, you know, that warm, purpley kind of vibe. So I don't think I could get a lot of different looks with the Fortune palette that I can't already get with this one, if that makes any sense. So overall, that is why I will be skipping the Fortune palette from ColourPop. I do have my eye on the Fame palette. I'm not 100% sure if I want to buy it, but it's definitely on my radar. A drugstore thing that I will not be getting, and it is because I was really intrigued with these, but then I went into Ulta and I swatched them because they had testers out, and I was like, oh no. And it is the Electric Shock Highlighting Powders from Revlon. Revlon recently released this like Electric Shock kind of line or whatever. It's like purple packaging, really like highlighty kind of neon products, eyeshadow palettes, lip glosses, and then they put out highlighting powders, which Revlon doesn't have any highlighting powders. And so I was like, my antennas went up, you know? But I went into Ulta and I swatched them, and they have 4 different shades, but they were really powdery, not metallic at all, like very subtle, almost nothing kind of subtle, not even like an Essence Pure Nude highlight subtle, just kind of powdery subtle, you know, where it just kind of blended away. So I was just not into those. Well, I was, but then I was like, these are not very good, especially for $15. Like, you know, like you could buy 2 of those and you could get a Becca highlighter. You know what I mean? It's just like, no. Another drugstore highlighting thing, and I've seen this with NARS too, but it is the LA Girl Luminous Glow Illuminating Powder. I have seen NARS do this as well, like the loose powders that are highlighting powders. I just find that to be way too messy. I am just not into that. I feel like it would just get everywhere. I would have sparkles all over my face and all over my hands. Like, I don't think I could get a really nice targeted look. And for someone who has oily skin like myself, I like my highlight to just be where I put it, because I do get oily throughout the day, so I look oily and shiny anyway. I just want my highlight to be where I put it. You know what I mean? So for that reason, I just think loose powder highlights, I'm just not into that. An eyeshadow palette from Shop Hush, actually. I saw this and I was like, this is really pretty, but I won't buy it. And it is the Face Candy Atlantis palette. If you are familiar with Shop Hush or you are watching YouTube, you probably know of this palette. The reason I'm not buying this is because I think the shades are gorgeous. I love a blue, I love a green, obviously my eyes today, but I just don't think you could get a lot of different looks with this palette. I'm not really into palettes so much that are the same shade range, but just different tones of it, different like intensities of it, you know? So I just feel like you get shimmery greens and blues, matte greens and blues, and then you get a matte white and a matte black. So, or is it a matte navy? I think it's a matte navy. So overall, it's like, how many different looks could you really get with this palette? You know what I mean? And for that, with palettes, I like to be able to get a full look with a palette. So for that reason, I would skip out on this. Whenever I say for this reason, I always want to go, I'm out, like in Shark Tank. Another eyeshadow palette that I'm not getting, and this is actually a little bit more expensive. It is the Tarte Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust eyeshadow palette. I think this palette is really, really beautiful. However, I'm not buying it, not just because it's $39 and not because it's limited edition. Those things usually price, and if it's limited edition, usually do play a part in me purchasing a product or not. But with this, it's the same thing with the Atlantis palette. I just feel like all of my looks would look the same. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do a ton of different things with this. There's only 2 dark shades, like 2 medium tone shades, but everything is in that very rosy family. And I like that, but at the same time, if I'm going to spend $39 on a palette, I want it to be as versatile as possible. And I just don't feel like this palette is that. A couple Maybelline things I want to touch on. I got the new Superstay foundation stick, which I did a video on that I will link for you guys. But the foundation, or the Face Studio Master Blur Primer sticks. So they have 3 different shades of these. It's just like a pore filling stick. I'm going to skip out on these because I've had the Milani one. I think I've had an e.l.f. one before, and I just feel like they just don't do enough for me, and they usually are super dry and they fall out of the stick, and it's like, it wasn't one of those things where it was like, yeah, I really want to try that. It was just kind of like, no, like, I'm good. I don't feel a huge need. I have really good primers from the drugstore, you know, like the NYX pore filler. So I just was like, I don't need this one. You know what I mean? And also, I remember the baby skin, like, pore filling primer that Maybelline put out really broke me out. And so I'm kind of weary of really, like, silicone-y type primers from Maybelline just because of that experience. And last but not least, I want to chat about a lip plumper from Maybelline. This is the Lip Studio Plumper Please lipstick. The reason I'm not getting this is because I just hate lip plumpers. I think they are just awful. Like, they burn my lips. They just make me so uncomfortable. I don't like the way they smell. I don't like the way they feel. So I just am not into lip plumpers. So that's why I'm going to skip out on that. I think that's all I have. Yeah, that is it for this video. Again, if you're picking up some of these products or you love some of them, let me know. Maybe I'll end up liking them if I pick one up. But these are just products that are newer that I don't feel like I need, or maybe like the Revlon one I wanted, and then I went and swatched it and I was like, oh, this is not good. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!